I'm talking with Laurence Skelly, the Minister for Department for Enterprise, and I mean there's only one story that's really affecting you in the sense of the public, and it seemed to come out over the Easter period, but is it as it seemed in that report that the numbers of people coming to the Isle of Man has dropped off drastically? I mean 25,000 or something in that period. Are we reading that information correctly? Because obviously that's the headline that everyone's going with.
What you've stated there, Paul, is the passenger survey results that have just recently been published. And the headline figure there, which you picked up on there, is with regards to the decrease in passenger visitors numbers here on the island.
By boat particularly, right?
Yeah, when you drill down to it, it looks like the numbers are more significant by boat rather than by air. But of course, that's just one stat where there's somewhat 20 different stats within that survey.
You can't be pleased with that information.
No, I think, as I said initially, I was very surprised by it, certainly quite shocked by it, because it smacks in the face of everything that has been happening these last 3 to 4 years, where we've seen consistent growth in our visitor numbers and our visitor spend. So,
do you believe those numbers then? I mean,
well, they're done independently by the Cabinet Office via a passenger survey. You know, I'm sure you've been interviewed, been at the airport, at the sea terminal with the clipboards, and they ask a series of questions. And I think they take a poll of about 10,000 over, in this particular case, over 650,000 actual travellers. So it's a method they've been using for many, many years.
But you get data from the steam packet, don't you? I mean, you actually get hard data for people sailing, whereas the air is, you have to go and do that polling business. Yes,
yeah, and I think that's, you know, part of the picture that needs to be pieced together. So when you look at one stat from one survey, you need to look at and analyse further detail to understand how could that drastic, you know, decline actually occur at this particular time. So we were surprised, we are shocked, and we are actually liaising with the Cabinet Office to examine that a lot further and a lot deeper.
Let's deal with this. Obviously some silo mentality, it sounds like, going on here, because that info that was released on as we head into Easter came from not your department, even though you're getting all the flack for it.
No, it's not. No, it's not, and it's meant to be done independently for that particular purpose. So that was released. Was it Thursday? Thursday
late
last
Thursday,
week?
was it? Which was going into the Easter period, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yes, yeah.
I mean, did you know it was coming out?
We knew.
Did you know it was in there as well?
No, we knew it was coming out, and we had sight of it. Yes, but we didn't know when it was coming out. We don't control that because obviously that's done by a different department.
Do you accept it looked like it was being buried, you know, over the holiday period? You know, like this classic thing you see on TV shows about dump news and that sort of thing on a bad news day.
No, no, you know, I mean that's something I don't control. So you know how they release it, and when they release it is entirely up to the other department.
Do you think it's strange then that they did it?
You could say that, but I don't think it's.
Well, you can't be happy about it, can you? The way they did it, the way they handled it.
Well, it doesn't matter when it comes out. You know, what you're focused in on is one statistic of where there's nearly 20 different statistics in that particular report. Because the interesting point for me is that there are two other statistics that really jumped out. You picked up on obviously the negative one there, but the positive one is that there was people actually staying on the island longer. And also the visitor spend has increased quite dramatically, over 23% actually, the visitor spend. So when you see more money actually being spent in the economy, but less visitors actually here, according to that report, then you think, well, hang on a minute, we're actually benefiting the economy to a greater level.
People can't understand when they hear that the airport's got these huge queues at the check-in / X-ray because we're having the busiest time ever, followed by this news. Something doesn't add up.
And clearly we need to examine that at a greater depth to understand exactly why that as I say, that has gone, as I say, and it's smacked in the face of all the industry feedback that we've had, and clearly we've had a lot of industry feedback to date after this news has actually broke.
How damaging though is when you see, I mean, you know, that's a headline, whatever you say, we saw the negative, that's just journalism, isn't it? People go through a press release and drill down. And that's the sort of headline, that's what everyone seems to be interested in. Is it damaging to look that, you know, Jersey's saying they're doing so well, and on paper now, in Google, when you search it for next year, it's going to look like we're on a decline?
Well, you know, you can look at it, but I think you have to look at it in the round. So let's go back to two key stats here. The visitor numbers are down, but the visitor spend is up. So you take that in the round, and if you think about perhaps maybe in a shop, If you had less people coming in but spending more money, what do you want? More people coming in your shop, spending less money, or less people coming in spending more money? So the benefit to our local economy in that particular survey is demonstrating that we're actually got a greater visitor spend. We were looking, some of our analysis, I was looking at about 4 years I've been in this particular post. £367 was the average spend by a visitor 4 years ago. £448 is the visitor spend today. So that actually is meaning that we're more, the people who come into the island are actually spending more in our hospitality, in our hotels, and that is a benefit to the local economy.
Chris Robertshaw wants your head.
That's Chris Robertshaw, isn't it? And again, what I don't do, I will say this: I do not judge by one stat. There's 20 different stats just in this survey. You just said there before with regards to other evidence and so forth. And if you look at the confidence in this particular sector, in this part of the economy, it's massive. It's booming, and you've got tens of millions of pounds being poured into this particular economy through investment right now, and that's not a decision that's made by one stat, one blip.
But I mean, he's an ex-hotelier. I think he's still got interest in the hotel business with dry cleaning or towels and things.
So the question:
Are you surprised then he would say such a thing? I mean, you and him are falling out.
Personal politics. I am surprised at Chris at that particular level. But what he is in the business, has been in the business, and you ask yourself, would he make a decision based on one particular stat? No, we would not make judgments on one.
Well, I asked him
stat.
who would take over, because he wouldn't put his name to anyone, and he didn't seem to want it himself.
And that's his choice, to resign and walk away and do nothing.
Frustrating for you to have that sort of damage.
Well, what I would suggest, and I would agree with, that he stimulated debate around tourism, and I think Chris is very passionate around tourism. He's obviously got a direct interest in tourism, and that's fine. And let's put it into context here. We have just gone through a massive restructuring of the department, and what we have done is we've set up a separate agency for Visit Isle of Man, which is the tourism, the visitor economy, because we recognise how important that is for our economy, because it's all about imported revenue to the island.
Isn't half the problem here, I mean, in the day, it used to be a Minister of Tourism, and now it's just part of your department, and not the biggest part either, because the spend is, I think, was it equated that you get a month on the tube or something in London for the spend you've got for the whole year? How do you deal with that?
Well, you can equate it to GDP, which is quite simple and straightforward. But no, it is a valuable part of our economy because it's part of our local economy. You enjoy restaurants, you enjoy the hospitality industry, and quite frankly, if you didn't have a positive, growing, sustainable tourism industry, you would have very few of those available to you. So it is. We've recognised how important it is, and that's why we dedicated a executive agency for that. There's 4 agencies. There's the finance, there's the digital, there's the visit, and there is the business, which is everything else.
I know even today, for instance, you've got journalists over. This seems to be the sort of back way almost of getting newsprint columns. Is that part of the policy of doing that?
I guess you've got to ask yourself, in terms of the marketing in the Isle of Man, we would always say we want to do more. But what we did do for quite a while ago now, I think it's about 4 or 5 years ago, we changed our policy. What we do now, instead of doing paid adverts, whether it be in print or in TV or wherever, we've focused in on inviting journalists like yourself who come and they'll be critical. Quite frankly, it's double-edged sword, this, because if they like what they see, they'll write an editorial, and an editorial is much more powerful than an advertorial. But the double-edged side of it is they don't like what they see, then they will actually write a poor report, and then therefore that's a negative on us.
I don't know the ins and outs of your contract, but I know ones that you basically get your money, you have to pay for it. You get your money back when you write a nice article. It's not like that. You're not constricting them.
That is an advertorial, really, isn't it? In essence, but in our case, they have free reign. We tell them what they can and see do. We don't handhold them, and we let them go and discover the Isle of Man. And to be quite frank, that has actually been very positive, very powerful for us. And it's not just journalists. We are online advertising, and the hit ratio is growing. The interest in the Isle of Man is really quite significant.
Are you fed up yet with all this criticism you're getting? It seems to be constant at you at the moment.
It goes with the territory, Paul. It's as simple as that. And as I say, in this particular case, this is an opportunity to raise the debate and importance about tourism. I just bumped into Chris at lunchtime, my new best friend, and we had a good, robust discussion with regards to the importance.
Robust. I'd love to be the fly on the wall on that one. Then
it was all right, was it? That was fine. And I guess there's mutual respect, in respect from that point of view. But no. In essence, this is not an easy job, no, but we have to get on with it. I'm not in the business of walking away from it. I want to get on with the job.
You're staying?
Yes, as far as I'm aware, I certainly am.